It's the final week of Road Safety Month, but as a nation, we are well aware the issues of road safety always persist. Throughout the month of June, major emphasis was placed on educating motorcyclists on the proper use of the roads in order to reduce the fatalities occurring in this group as a result of crashes. Coming up on Issues and Answers, Paula Fletcher discusses more of the topical road safety concerns and solutions. Stop, look, listen. Be cautiously aware as we prepare to tackle these and more within the half hour. You're watching Jamaica Magazine, and I am Theodore Henry.
Let's celebrate Jamaica to the world. Fastest man in the world. First Jamaican woman to win gold in Olympic 100-meter sprint. An upcoming global superstar. Mouth-watering meals. And a vibrant set of people. We are Jamaicans. Let's get together and bring back the love.
We are joined by the Executive Director of the National Road Safety Council to discuss matters relating to road safety.
Thanks for joining us for Issues and Answers. I'm Ian Boyne. It's Road Safety Month, and we want to talk road safety issues. We have with us the Executive Director of the National Road Safety Council, Paula Fletcher, and she'll be talking to us about some of the initiatives of the Council, as well as the critical issue of road safety and what you need to do to ensure your safety on the roads. We thank you so much for your company. Paula, good to have you on the...
Thank you for having me.
Sure. I think we should start by talking about the role of the National Road Safety Council. What do you do and what impact you have had over the years?
Okay, well, in terms of our role, which is listed in the Ministry Paper number 23 of 1993, we have the mandate for reducing crashes on the road that cause injury and death.
You can't be feeling very good at this time, but anyway, go on.
And of course, to reduce this pain, suffering, grief, and the cost to the nation. That's really what we have to do. But it is quite multi-sectoral, as you would imagine, because it spans so many ministries. There's health, justice, security, education, local government, and transport, of course. Transport, well, it no longer works, transport and mining. We bring all those persons around the table so we can get consensus and agree on activities that we're all going to jointly do.
So you help largely in formulating policy?
Strategies, policies, which will break out into activities. The unfortunate thing, we don't have discrete funding, only really for public education from the National Health Fund. So we have to rely on the respective ministries incorporating in their work plan the various issues that we have agreed on. And that's one of the bones of contention, because the 2004 policy actually provides for funding. Well, it stipulates that we should have a fund to pursue road safety activities, but that has not happened. So it's a collaboration we count on.
You have the Prime Minister as your chair.
Yes,
Prime Minister is always the chair of the National Road Safety Council.
No matter who is seated, and we always have great support and interest from whoever is at the helm. But wouldn't it be nice if we got a small percentage of the fuel tax? You know, then we could really plan our business, because the thing is, you know, money is spent on road safety when you have the deaths.
Tell us about the costs, but the health costs, for example, are enormous.
$2 billion is what we hear in direct cost to the hospitals, and you know that's just a fraction of the cost. You're not talking yet about lost production, lost investment by family and country in an individual. The funeral costs, they're pretty high these days. Rehabilitation costs, damage to infrastructure. So we don't have a handle on that. Hopefully one day when somebody does a full socio-economic review of the cost of crashes, we'll know that. But right now it's a direct $2 billion that we have had for some time in terms of what was provided by the ministry. So I think it's actually more than that. That's what we work with.
You have been with the council for a number of years. What are your own reflections, Paula, as to why we're not making the kind of progress that we should. I think 2012 was the year we were under 300.
Yes, 260.
But the last 2 years we have been we've been over 300.
We've been right.
What's the main issues?
Yes, the thing is that it's on the agenda, you know, the political agenda, but I don't think it gets the type of support that it needs to get.
What else we need to be doing?
We need to put a discrete fund in place so that whatever strategy we have come up with, which top of the list would be electronic surveillance, you know, because we need to be able to use technology to move us forward. In addition to stemming speeding and red light running with electronic surveillance, we could move to these sensors in the roads that sends information to a database that a ticket is issued straight off. It wouldn't even require police standing up to flag you down to check your papers. So the technology exists. We need the money to make the requisite investment. And my stance on it is that we get the level of road safety that we invest in. So if the investment dollar is that to get a good level of road safety is $10, and we're spending 45 cents. We're going to get 45 cents worth of road safety.
But isn't it the fact that a lot of the issues really impinge on behavioral change, which is not so much connected with funding? In fact, that's the one area where you get funding, which is education. Can I tell you?
That Jamaican who will have up to 1,500, that's the most we've heard. He will take a plane, if he can get a visa, go to the US, and he might travel with a car seat for the baby, and he's going to be, or he or she is going to be well behaved and comply, because the laws there have teeth. You see, so how do we say it's fully behavior when the same person can go elsewhere and behave differently? Yes, it is behavior, which is why we stress public education, which is one of the remits we have. But enforcement, I think, is also a big part of it, of the equation.
But we see a lot of police traffic cops around. I get stopped often on the roads.
And they issue a lot of tickets. The level of unpaid tickets. You see, we're about to have an amnesty to start the 2nd of August for 2 months. There are lots of tickets out there that are unpaid. Now, the Road Traffic Act would have helped us with that had we had it even 5 years into the initiation of that process. But we're over 10 years working on this bill. And one of the provisions, one of the provisions to deal with the traffic, the ticketing, people who don't pay their tickets, is that you wouldn't be able to do business with government. If you have an unpaid ticket. It has been happening in the US for years. I first heard of it in California, where you go to buy a ticket or to leave the country, or even to leave the state, and it comes up that you have X amount owing, and you just pay it plus interest, and you go about your business. So those are the things that they...
What about revoking people's license?
Well, Ian, can you imagine the point system hasn't been working for a while? It was challenged in court, and whereas the ITA, the Island Traffic Authority, their business is to license drivers, but I think it was just an oversight that they did not have permission to actually suspend or disqualify. So that has not been happening. So there are a number of persons in the traffic environment that perhaps shouldn't be there. It's unfortunate, but that's the facts that we're working with.
Well, certainly we want to do our own admonition to you as drivers to be careful, to be as disciplined as possible, even outside of our getting the kind of technological support that we ought to get. In whatever ways we can adjust our behavior toward safety, we ought to do that. The Executive Director of the National Road Safety Council, Paula Fletcher, is talking with us. We'll be back after a short break.
So time is money.
Easy driver. Well, nobody must man and taxi driver drive so bad.
Why him have to drive so hard? Me not gonna make you kill off me and me picnic them.
One stop driver. Make her come off this bus. Me say stop.
Me coming with you. The rest of not take chance in the life. Lord of mercy. That could
want the money.
Passengers, your safety is in your hands. Say one-stop driver and get off if the driver is speeding, overtaking recklessly, and not obeying the rules of the road. Don't give away your life. It is too precious.
Welcome back. It's Road Safety Month, and we're talking road safety issues. We have with us the Executive Director of the National Road Safety Council, Paula Fletcher. What are some of the positive things the government has done over the years to advance road safety?
Well, in 1995, the introduction of the breathalyzer program with the amendment to the Road Traffic Act. 1999, mandatory use of safety devices, and the council was behind spearheading
seat belts.
Right, those two initiatives. We're also pushing for a review of the Spirit License Act. We haven't heard much about that, but it's pretty advanced, and we're hoping that we should see something there. And the aim there is to try to prevent underage drinkers from going behind a steering wheel. So age verification will become part and parcel of how that act operates. And in fact, I'm happy to say that the drink industry, as they call themselves, were part of that discussion, and they have actually started doing age verification of their patrons, because a lot of young people are party goers, so you know, and that's a big industry. And you prepay for your liquor, you know, so that was our effort, because so I also had young people, you know, so that was part of my effort to try and protect our young, because there was a big industry around drinking and partying.
True. And the Road Safety Act, which still hasn't been passed yet, has features which would have a positive impact on road safety.
Oh yes, the Road Traffic Act.
Road Traffic Act.
One of the big things would be a different way of training drivers and certifying drivers. We would introduce the matter of when you're getting your learner's permit, you would have to pass a road code first. Right now, you do it along the line, but you have to do it before you go and do the driving test. But right off the bat, you'd have to have that, pass that before you get the permit, because you should know what the rules of the road are before you get before the wheel. So that is one of the new things. And then now it will build in features that are sort of more experience-based, so you move from one stage to the next. We're also going to introduce the Ministry of Transport and Works. They really have portfolio responsibility, but we are, you know, the big pushers behind it. They are also going to have, under the Island Traffic Authority, a means of certifying driving instructors. Right now, if you want to get into that business and you go and, you know, you get your license, the next day you can be training somebody to drive. We're not saying that a dad, a mom, a neighbor can't train you, but the system, the system is going to be set up that you're going to have to at least touch base with a certified driving instructor, because it's going to be modular how the whole curriculum is set up. There are actually manuals. There's a learner-driver manual. There's a driver instructor manual, and there's an entirely new road code. The current road code is a commercial effort, but there's actually a Government of Jamaica road code, which a lot of people don't know. It's a blue and cream book, very thin, of many
and which drivers
decades.
are supposed to know?
Well, I think it's overlooked, because the commercial effort actually is a much better effort, the red and white. Yes, I mean, we have to, but there's going to be a new book, and it will be the GOJ, and you will be required to understand and learn what is in that. So in terms of the training, the certification, we're going to have, for instance, have it segmented. So you, for instance, you learn the impact of speed on crashes, the impact of distracted driving on crashes, the impact of fatigue. So it's going to be totally different in how it's structured. So for instance, if somebody's a habitual person who speeds and gets speeding tickets, then what could happen is that you would say to them, you need to redo that module, be retested for that module. And for instance, as we have been saying to the insurance companies to prepare their minds for the whole change, is that they could, you know, somebody who is speeding and gets in a crash and it would affect their premium, they could say, go and redo that module, and then we would be a little more lenient and that sort of thing. So it's going to be totally revamped, and we're just waiting, waiting.
And it would also deal with driving while being on the cell phone.
Yes, it's a bit of a compromise standard, we have to say, from the National Road Safety Council, because it's going to be, it seems as if it's going to be hands-free use. And that is not exactly a best practice, because using your hand is only one thing.
Yes.
Almost bigger part is the cognitive processing.
That's true.
You know, receiving the information. The brain is quite complex. You know, you have to receive the information, you have to process it, you have to put it somewhere else and retrieve it to be able to say it. I was amazed when I learned how the brain functions. So that cognitive processing. So from the council, what we're saying is that is one law you can break, meaning that you can do even better. Because, you know, the political considerations, and so they say, you know, let's go slowly, so it's hands-free. But at the council, we're saying, glove it. We're going to actually try and launch a program. Put it in your glove compartment.
Oh, yes.
Glove it.
Glove it.
Right.
Yeah,
you know, and let's be safe. Haven't we had instances where, if we're honest with ourselves, we're on the phone and we think we're managing the traffic environment, and then we're gone through the red light. We don't realize the light has changed. It's a very dangerous thing. It's like driving drunk. That's how they have, they're looking at it, road safety practitioners, just that. If you stop using it, you're not drunk anymore.
Yes.
You know, which is different when you're drinking alcohol.
What's your final words to the audience, Paula? What words you want to leave with us in terms of what we need to do to be safe on the roads? Yes,
you know, it's fairly simple, but we lose sight of it. They say in Jamaica and around the world, 90% of fatalities and crashes on a whole are caused by human error, human choices. It's actually choices that we do. So it's a life.
Accidents.
Yes, it's like a life. It's not accidents at all. That is why in 2004, PAHO had this initiative, Road Safety is No Accident. So the council has tried to change the language in saying the Prime Minister, no Prime Minister that we've been associated with will ever say accident anymore. They say crash, or you can say collision that causes injury and death, because it's a choice that we make. So we're saying to people, make better choices, because there's an immediate change, you know, to your life.
Absolutely.
You lose mobility, you lose your ability to earn, you lose your ability to care for yourselves. When we go to schools and, you know, we may take a victim and they say, I can no longer, somebody who is 19, 20, I can no longer go to the bathroom without help. You know, you have to be fed.
That's graphic.
And some of them, I remember this particular lady, she says her daughter had a long death. Because she was bedridden for so many years. Of course, the impact on the society and economy, it's a sustainable development issue. It affects our ability to develop as a nation. We're trying to grow the economy by 3 to 5%. That's exactly that 2% that is wiped out by crashes, especially in developing countries. So let us take better decisions. We don't have to wait on an act, really, to decide our safety.
Precisely.
It's a personal choice that we make. We cannot lock up ourselves in our home. We have to go to school, work, to have social events. But we can make certain choices. You're not speeding, not drinking and driving. Get off that cell phone, glove it. And pedestrians, you have to be very careful. Motorcyclists, we haven't even touched those. Put on your helmet and go get yourself trained, because under the new act, you're going to be required to be certified to drive a motorcycle as you do a motor car.
Interesting. Lots of useful information, and information that we can use and that can literally save our lives. Paula Fletcher is the Executive Director of the National Road Safety Council. Next week I'll be back. Until then, Ian Boyne wishing you a pleasant day.
Each time you're not paying full attention to the road environment, the greater your chances of getting in a crash like that. Plan routes to avoid focusing on GPS systems, prevent children from roaming in motor vehicles, turn down the volume of car stereo systems, pull off the roadway if you have to use mobile devices, do not read, watch television or eat while driving, avoid multitasking, and keep conversations with other passengers to a minimum. Whether you walk, ride or drive, avoid potentially fatal distractions.
Are you aware of the safety practices when riding a motorcycle? Motorcyclists too often forget that they should wear a helmet at all times and a reflector jacket at nights. But these aren't the only things they need to be aware of. Watch this.
It may be an attractive option for those who want to escape those pesky traffic snarls or for the thrill seekers among us. But motor and pedal cyclists still need to follow all the road rules and take extra precaution to ensure their safety. Over the years, both categories of road users have remained high on the list of road fatalities. In fact, they're among the top 5 groups at risk of serious injury and death on the roads.
Head injuries are one of the most likely for a motorcyclist involved in a crash. Research has shown that wearing a helmet significantly reduces the severity of those injuries, and the law demands it.
There are 2 special type of helmets that you're supposed to wear in Jamaica, and the law stipulates that.
Going without a helmet or using anything other than the 2 types of legal helmets when operating a motorcycle compromises the safety of the individual and should never be considered. And remember, the chin strap, which secures the helmet onto the motorcyclist's head, is critical.
The half helmet. See, half. As you notice, you have the ear guard, making at the back. That. This helmet, this is a visor. But in using this helmet, you have to wear glasses to protect the eye from the wind or any obstacle might be in the wind. If you look inside, you see the padding, soft material. This is comfort and protection.
The second is the full helmet, which covers the entire face and is similar in makeup to the half helmet. Once the helmet has taken a hit in an accident, it should be replaced. Even if it has no visible damage, its ability to provide full protection at another time could be compromised. Other protective devices that should be considered include knee and elbow pads, gloves, and a body armor or motorcycle jacket to minimize serious injury to other parts of the motorcyclist's body. Remember also the other components: tires, brakes, mirrors, and lights. They should be checked regularly and be kept in tip-top condition. The failure of brakes and tires especially could prove fatal.
Getting on the road with a motorcycle is pretty simple, but
for a motorcycle, you need a license, you need a rider's license. You can get a learner's license to ride a motorcycle. But for a rider's license, it is the same procedure as applying for a motor vehicle driver's license.
Persons learning to operate a motorcycle must not transport passengers. A clear L should be displayed on the motorcycle, and all motorcycle operators must obey the speed limit and all other road rules. Those who are holders of full motorcycle licenses can transport passengers, but
as a rider, if you're not carrying a passenger, one passenger is permitted to ride on a bike. And if the bike should be situated or should be made in a way that there's a footrest for the passenger at the back. If there's no footrest, that means the bike is not supposed to carry a passenger.
keep in mind that having a motorcycle and following just these rules is not enough. To ensure as smooth a passage as possible, here are some other rules you might want to pay attention to.
Never bob and weave through traffic. Obey all the rules governing overtaking. Never disobey one-way signs. Proceed in the same direction as other motorists. Obey the instructions of police officers, flagmen, and all other posted road signs. Reduce the use of cellular phones and other electronic devices while operating a motorcycle. Similarly, do not consume alcoholic beverages if you have to drive a motorcycle. Dress in reflective garments at night so that it's easier for pedestrians and other motorists to see you. And ensure horns and other warning devices are working so that other road users can be sufficiently aware of your presence. Representatives from the Island Traffic Authority and the police are keen on prosecuting those who do not obey the regulations, and the full brunt of the law could come down on delinquents. Besides stiff legal penalties, though, the pain of serious injury or death for traffic offenders and their families could be great. It's also important for pedestrians and other motorists to look out for motorcycle users. Drivers, check your mirrors before changing lanes, making a turn, or opening your doors. And pedestrians, treat them as you would any other vehicle. Be alert and pay extra special attention when crossing the road.
Eliminating dangerous behaviors from our roads is up to all of us. Remember, we all have to use our roads daily. If we play our part, we are not only helping the authorities, but we could save ourselves a lot of pain and anguish. I'm Alison, and this has been Road Scholars.
Nutritious food, succulent dishes, superior workmanship, and excellent service. Jamaica is on the go. Let's grow what we eat and eat what we grow. Let's harness the indomitable spirit of our most valued resource, our people. Let's support our local businesses. After all, buying Jamaican means building Jamaica. Original.
Motorists, it's full time now you follow the road rules and stop leaving things to chance. Wear your seatbelt and put on your helmet. They lessen the impact you receive in a crash. That's not too much to ask for when you consider the alternative might not be walking away alive, right? While you're at it, ensure your vehicle is in good condition and roadworthy. No one likes the saying, if me did know. If me did know, I would have changed the oil in my car. If me did know, I would have ensured my passenger was protected too. If me didn't know, I wouldn't have sped down the road that day. Of course, that's all assuming you're around after the crash to say, if me did know. Too often, we live our own nightmares, simply because we never think things through. Motorists, think, no matter wing it, as we make Jamaica the place of choice to live, work, raise families, and do business. Motorists, it is important that you heed these road safety warnings. Remember, it is better to arrive late than never at all. I hope you found our program informative. We'd appreciate your feedback, so send them to Jamaica Magazine at jis.gov.jm. Take a trip to our social media pages on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, and stay informed on the go. You can also visit our website, jis.gov.jm, for more information. On behalf of the entire production crew, I'm Theodore Henry. Thanks for watching.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.